Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hamptons International Film Festival. My name is Megan Costello. I'm on the programming team here at HIFF, and it is my honor to be here today with Garrett Bradley, the director of Time. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us, Garrett.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Us.
Just congratulations on this film. Thank you for making this incredible film. Thank you for introducing us all to this remarkable family and to the tireless superhero that is Fox Rich. I don't know if there's anyone in the world who makes a better case for the power of manifestation than her. And I'd love to hear more about how you first came to know Fox and her family.
Yeah, I met Fox actually in the process of making a previous film, Alone, which is a short 13-minute New York Times op doc. And that film was very much about it was addressing issues around incarceration, also from a sort of feminine familial point of view, in terms of really understanding it through the effects of incarceration. And Lon, who was sort of the central figure of that film, was in the process of trying to decide how to move forward with her life, while her partner was awaiting trial in a private prison for about a year and a half. And you know, there's 2.3 million people that are incarcerated right now. So there's, if not double, triple that number that are also serving time on the outside that are also affected by this. And a lot of the irony in that particular case with that film was that Lon really had very few people she felt she could go to seek counsel because of the stigma around being an incarcerated couple. And so I contacted an organization called FLIC, Friends and Families of Louisiana's Incarcerated Children. And Gina Womack, who's the co-founder and director of that organization, picked up. And I just was like, I'm making a film, and I'm, you know, really thinking about it more as a facilitation between intergenerational conversations with women around this issue. And she said, well, the first person you need to speak with is Fox Rich. And so I met Fox in the process of making that film. And she's actually in sort of a few seconds at the very end of it. And I got to know her. And I think the reason why I made Time was twofold. On one hand, it was that I felt that there were many, many stories that could be told out of this experience, out of this American reality that we're living in. And that I didn't want one film to sort of stand as the monolith for what that experience was. And then secondly, I think Fox and the Richardson family are unique and incredible human beings, but then the specificity of their story was also something that I think myself and they also felt was universal and could help people. So that's how it came to be.
I'm very happy that she came into your life, because Time is a truly stunning work of collaboration. And at what point in the process did it become known to you that Fox had this extraordinary arsenal of nearly 2 decades worth of archival home footage that would be at your availability to use?
Yeah, it wasn't actually until the end of filming. So I was shooting the film the whole time thinking I had a really clear idea of what I was making, and thinking of it really as sort of a sister film to Alone in terms of its aesthetics and its style. And so, yeah, when we were done, I remember saying to Fox, I'll be back and I'll, show you what I have at that point. And she was on the phone with Robert, and she had a black bag just filled with mini DV tapes. And she said, maybe this will be useful to you. And she herself had not looked at those tapes since the 90s, and since she shot them. So it was about 100 hours worth of material, and myself and Gabe Rhodes, the film's editor, just combed through it over and over and over again, and then kind of tackled and reconceived the whole project.
I imagine that must have been both challenging and rewarding to restructure at that point in the process, to reorchestrate the film into something different than you originally envisioned.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that like being a filmmaker is so much of it is flexibility. It's like having a vision, but remaining flexible within that, and just leaning into the Rubik's Cube of life. And so I think that, yeah, on one hand it was like terrifying, but at the same time it was a gift, obviously, and the film would not be what it is. It's I keep saying, like, it's like two directors have kind of come together to make this third film, which is what Time is.
Yeah, and by blending your own perspective with Fox's, both narratively and aesthetically, you've created this immersive and deeply personal experience. And as you were saying before, mass incarceration is a widespread systemic issue in this country if 2.3 million people are affected. And it's something that's been deliberately kept hidden. But your decision to root this story in this one family's journey without any abstraction is bold and incredibly effective. Were you ever tempted to step outside of the bounds of their story, or was this always the intention to stay very focused?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, no, I think that there's a lot of examples out there that are broad, and I think that that's just as important as specificity. And I think that if we want to get people to start paying attention, as I think finally people are in the mainstream, I mean, there's been a conversation and push for this since the beginning, then I think we need to have a balance of the personal and the public, of the facts and the numbers and the emotionality and the familial, So for me, no, I felt pretty confident that the way in which we wanted to move through this was to keep ourselves rooted in the family and in the emotionality of that, and in their unity and in love, in these more abstract things. Yeah.
I mean, I personally think that was very effective. I think
I'm glad.
For anyone, even if your life isn't touched by incarceration, I feel like it's impossible not to be just deeply moved and affected by their story and not feel some sort of call to action after having seen it. Which, this film premiered in January at the Sundance Film Festival, prior to this national reckoning and revolution that we're currently experiencing in this country. I imagine your intentions behind the film have not changed all that much, as all of these issues existed long before this year. But I am curious if you've noticed any changes in the way viewers are now receiving and responding to it so many months later.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much in terms of the viewership, but I do think that there is, and as you said, I mean, I think that this film and stories that deal with incarceration are always and justice, frankly, are always going to remain relevant regardless of what's happened. Until the world resolves itself and changes itself, these things are always going to be important for us. So yeah, I mean, and I haven't really, I think we've just been really overwhelmed and really grateful that people seem to be taken with the film, and not just as a film, but as something that they themselves are a part of, if they, as human beings, and as participants in society. So maybe that, COVID and just the chaos of this year has helped people to be in a more contemplative place. But I also think it's all adding up to being on the precipice of radical change in our country. And this is just a small piece of that, hopefully. So, and hopefully there's much more to come.
Yes. And it certainly helps that your film has a very happy ending, although I imagine that was not always very clear to you. I know it was clear to Fox, but as the filmmaker, it might not have felt within your reach in the bounds of this process. And how was that for you to navigate as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually trying to actively participate in the manifesting process. I mean, I think that I've had people ask me, like, how do you stay objective? Because in order to be a documentary filmmaker, you have to be objective and your work has to be objective. And I'm not really sure how possible that is. And I think maybe another way of putting it is that, like, for me, it's no different than just having respect for other people, right? Like when you are at the grocery store, when you're in the elevator, you respect people enough to, to have a level of objectivity and sensitivity at the same time. And so that is how I work with people when I'm working with them. And so I wanted the same things that she wanted. I obviously couldn't intervene and help make it happen as much as I wanted to. But I believed that they were going to be successful. And I think that for me, the question was, if time runs out for circumstances I don't have control over, like budget or timeline, what can I make sure I have that is going to honor the experience and honor the story? And for me, it was less actually about the outcome of their pursuits, and it was more about the pursuit itself, and the process by which she and the family fought every day, and which the system entangled itself into their daily lives. And then we just got lucky.
Yes. And yeah, just what a beautiful showcase of this whole journey, and starting from the incredible foresight of her own self-documentation to just your own. I know, you framed it in the context of it being a sister film, and your own adaptability into kind of putting all of these pieces together. It's just, you've created a truly stunning work.
Thank you. I so appreciate that, and I know the family would really appreciate that too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here today, and thank you to everyone at home who took the time to watch this film. And Garrett, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. And thank you, everybody. And thank you to the festival as well.